Out here at the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association Ride and Drive event, there are a whole lot of cars, very new ones you can test drive, you can ride around in. There are Cybertrucks, there are Polestars, there are, you name it, all kinds of good stuff. But that's just the new hotness. What about a 1914 Detroit Electric? I'm Brian. Welcome to Future AAAA. A quick thank you to today's sponsor, WAAAM, who made this video possible. They provide an amazing array of third-party accessories for your Tesla. I have a bunch, I use them all, and every one of them that I've ever gotten is still in use in my car. That's true of all the accessories I've ever gotten because I'm very selective about it. Although it's coming into autumn, so I may be taking down the sunshade in the roof glass soon. Get 5% off with coupon code AAAA, AZA, or AZA5. I mean, who knows? Probably both. Yeah, check them out. They've got some pretty cool stuff.
Would you like a ride?
I would be delighted to have a ride.
All right, we're just having a change of shift here.
And I'm going to feed my face while you're running.
That works for me.
And tell you all the world history at the same time.
Even better.
All right. Oh, yeah, welcome aboard.
Thank you, thank you.
A 1914 Detroit Electric. So this is a 1914 Detroit Electric that we have in the WAAAM Museum in Hood River, Oregon. It's a 110-year-old all-electric vehicle. This had a range of 80 miles, which is pretty good for 110 years ago.
Yes, it is.
Only had a top speed of about 20 miles an hour, 20 to 25. But that was perfectly reasonable for a car that was designed to be an urban car, meant to be a town car. It was very expensive. The base cost of this car was $2,600, and this car had the optional battery option, which was another $600. So the total cost was about $3,200, and that's well over $100,000 in today's money.
Wow.
Interestingly enough, there is a vehicle almost identical to this one in the Ford Museum. It's a green 1914 Detroit Electric, and it's in the Ford Museum because Clara Ford, Henry Ford's wife, drove a Detroit Electric. She did not drive a Model T. Because in 1914, all Model Ts still had to be hand cranked. So that isn't something that she wanted to contend with. However, she liked the Detroit Electric so much that she drove it into the 30s.
Wow.
So, yeah.
The one I got to see in Vancouver, BC last year,
Uh-huh.
same kind of deal. The original owner kept it just forever. Because
Yes.
what are you going to replace it with?
Exactly.
Something noisy and smelly and...
I don't have the details on it, but rumor has it there was a lady in Los Angeles that drove her Detroit Electric into the 90s.
Wow.
It's kind of one of the characters in Los Angeles area, so I'm sure she didn't take it on the freeway, but going back and forth with the grocery store was fine. It has a 4 horsepower DC motor.
I don't know how comfortable I'd feel going 40, 50 miles an hour in something like this. I don't feel the braking power would be quite adequate.
It does have big brakes, and it also has an electric, as we can see here, electromechanical brake on the motor.
Oh.
It's not regenerative, but it will slow you down a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, it has a 4 horsepower DC motor, has 5 speeds, 2 battery packs, one in the front, one in the back. The first 3 speeds use the battery packs in parallel, and then speeds 4 and 5 put the battery packs in series, so you had 84 volts. Normally, with each battery pack is 42 volts.
So that means that the transmission is a circuit difference.
Exactly. It has no gears whatsoever. The motor is connected directly with the drive shaft to the differential. So there's no transmission per se. And you obtain the different speeds by taking the voltage in series or parallel. And also there's a big resistor in the first speed to make the transition from stop to starting more smooth.
Oh.
So, but other, and it has the motor has 2 different windings. that were employed. This is kind of tricky. When you go backwards, you bring the steering tiller to 45 degrees and you push it forward and you go backwards. So it takes a little getting used to sometimes, but. And for a car that was actually marketed to women, it can be surprisingly hard to turn. I'm not too sure exactly.
No power assist on the
No
steering,
power
of course,
assist for
and
sure.
and just the tiller.
Big old wheels. Yeah, so.
And unknown terrain beneath the tires. It
Yes.
could be cobblestone, it could be dirt, it could be...
Well, it was interesting. The tire manufacturer, in this case, it was Firestone, in a clever marketing ploy. If you notice the tires,
let's go
they say
look at it.
non-skid.
Yeah, let's go
So
look at
basically, your advertising was all over town because all the roads were still wood or still mud.
this. So it's upside down. I may need to flip the video, but it says
Yes.
non-skid.
Non-skid.
Now, are these reproductions?
That one is better.
Are these
They are reproduction of the original design, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did Firestone make them again?
I think Firestone made these. Yeah.
Because it does say Fire.
Yeah.
On it.
Well, it's got the Firestone. They're not. Yeah, it's got the Firestone there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How fun. I mean, it's no, who was it? Gene Autry? Who was it that had his initials? No. Oh. He had double initials. Rob Roy, maybe? Had his initials put in his tires on his.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's cool.
one of a kind sort of deal.
Yeah.
Step over here with the little- Check out
Yeah.
the original.
Why? You want to tell them the story on the batteries?
So these are the original Edison batteries. They're, I think it's 42 volts,
42 volts for the whole
and
pack.
for the whole pack. And they are, they're nickel iron instead of like lead phosphate or whatever.
So these could be just rejuiced, just change
Yeah.
the electrolytes once a year.
They probably could be. They have to be flushed out, the plates cleaned, but because the electrolyte is not an acid, the plates shouldn't be deteriorated. They'd just be
Refreshed.
refreshed, and they should work.
So if someone wanted to, they could spend the money and have these batteries revitalized.
Yeah, so they were guaranteed by Thomas Edison for 80 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so these were designed, manufactured, and guaranteed for 80 years by Thomas Edison. That's why they called Edison cells.
Well, and the chemistry is so simple, I don't see why they
Nickel
couldn't
iron
be.
with a potassium electrolyte.
Yeah. I mean,
And they're very robust. So they could be shorted. They could be completely discharged. They could be frozen. And they would survive.
and you've kept these in here for balance.
For balance, yes. And for display, yeah.
And for display, sure. Yeah.
They weren't real practical in cars. They're very, very heavy. But they were used in railroad switching stations and remote communication sites into the 70s.
Mm.
And some people are still using them in off-grid solar homes.
Well, there's a lot of chemistries you can make a battery out of, and this one is obviously quite simple and elegant,
Yeah.
if not the most cost-effective at the time.
Right. Your energy density isn't here with the nickel iron batteries, but it has other features that kind of compensate for it.
Do we know how many Detroit Electrics were sold?
13,000.
13,000.
Yeah.
I tell you, there are manufacturers who've made fewer before.
Exactly. Well, they made them between 1908 and 1930 something. The company was basically out of business by the early 30s. But they hand built some into the mid 30s.
It's a fascinating machine. Yeah, there's one on display in Michigan at the Henry Ford Museum.
Yes.
There's
And at the WAAAM Museum in Hood River, Oregon.
yeah. They've also got airplanes.
Airplanes. We've got airplanes and boats and cars and bikes and motorcycles and kitchen utensils and guns and fishing lures and carousel ponies and everything.
Yeah, you know those specialty shops? Think the opposite. It's a
Exactly.
it's a stuff museum. All right. Is there anything I'm forgetting to ask? Oh, what were the original lamps?
These were electric lamps, which, 1914, most of them were getting converted to electric rather than the acetylene lamps. But yeah, so these were electric and ran off the batteries, of course.
Right. Anything else we're forgetting to mention? Top speed.
Top speed, 20 to 25.
That seems very reasonable for the 20 to 25 seems quite reasonable for
a town car.
For a town car. And considering in 1914 you're still going to be moving faster than just about anything out there.
Definitely faster than the horses.
Faster than the horse. Yeah. And the carriage design is I just wouldn't feel safe going much faster.
This is a luxurious trip. It's not meant for speed.
Yeah.
There were plenty of high-speed electric cars in the day, but this was meant to be, a around town car.
More of an experience. So I'm going to put a link up to the museum, maybe show some B-roll of how fantastic they look over there. I was supposed to get out there recently, but I was out of town the weekend that our club came out to visit. So I'll have to make up for that.
Anytime. We're open all year round.
I will have to do it.
Thank you very much.
In the comments, what did we miss? What do we misunderstand? Check it out. Tell me what you think. Ooh, corner angled glass. Very cool. Everybody else, like, subscribe. You know what you're doing. Stay tuned. Stay juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots when you get a chance to see one of these for yourself.